Welcome to my Assessment 2 story listening. The story that I've chosen to do this on is My Stolen Childhood by Sheila Humphreys, who was a young girl who, with her sister, was placed in an orphanage by their mother to pursue a better quality education. Unfortunately, this isn't something that they received. Instead, they suffered from cruelty and neglect. After discovering this, their mother attempted to remove them from the orphanage, but shortly after, they were arrested and taken back. I had sympathy, empathy, and hope throughout this story. Sympathy and empathy for the way they were treated, and hope that they'd found closure. After re-arriving to the orphanage, the sisters suffered from some traumatic experiences, including that their mother's passing, attempted suicide, severe burns, calluses, abscesses, and bricks to the knuckles, and different floggings, infections in different forms. Sheila explains that they shouldn't have been placed in the orphanage. Her quote was that we had a family, we had a mum and a dad, but the reason that we were taken away was because of the colour of our skin. This was an impactful moment for me, and I felt empathy from hearing this. I imagine children being ripped away from their families to institutions they know nothing of and forced to work and do chores without any form of happy childhood. I felt anger towards my ancestors for this, and in no way, shape or form should a child be taken away from their mother because they have a different way of living. Being a mother of young children myself, I don't think I would mentally cope with having my children taken away from me like that. Sheila tells that she was positioned in the ironing station and ironed up to 400 garments for over 3 days. She joked that she doesn't iron anymore and she puts her clothes in a dryer and this stands out to me and gives me hope that she has somewhat had some closure. She recalls the story of her sister being severely burnt from the large ironing machine and outlined that the nuns didn't take her to the doctors. They set her outside in the sun to dry. This makes me wonder what kind of power trip these people are on. I reflect on my own childhood and privilege that I had with my education, healthcare system, and having a passionate mentorship in my education, a family, healthcare, and a roof over my head and a warm bed at night. Sheila then briefs over time in lessons where nuns would discipline the children with bricks to the hands, leaving their joints swollen and sore. Hearing this makes me angry. Why would someone whose purpose is to guide and educate a child want to cause them pain? She concludes the TED Talk with a heartwarming story of her marriage, closure by visiting her mother's grave, and that her twins who were born outside on a hospital veranda in the winter and nearly taken away from her are now grandmothers themselves. Sheila's story reminds me of a video that is part of the Victoria University ECE 3004 Session 5 content video of the Kinchela Boys Home, where we were just little boys. Both these stories reflect on the past of stolen generations, stories that were taken from their homes in traumatic experiences. I also make connections of Sheila's stories to the recorded live stream session of the colonial violence. This live stream covers stories of conversations of different tribes being involved in invasions, massacres, and families being broken just like Sheila's was. Sheila also mentions in her story that a part of her closure, she completed a certificate in children's education services and uses her knowledge to educate and help young children. I connect this to a type of reconciliation of RAP, which is in relation to the NQS, exploring reconciliation in early childhood practice. I believe my story listening skills at the start excluded the importance of Sheila's connection to her mother in this story, but after re-listening to the story several times over, I realised it was a huge part of her story.